to the Belgian Embassy, and we have here the Ambassador of the Belgian Embassy. Please talk to our viewers around the world.
Well, I'm the Belgian Ambassador here. I arrived 1 year ago. I'm very proud that once again we opened the doors of our embassy to the Washingtonians, all those who are interested to know what is an embassy, what is the Belgian Embassy, who want to know what we have to offer, not just in terms of chocolates and waffles, but also the technology that we are displaying, the history of our country, the touristic attractions of Belgium, and then of course Brussels, the capital, not just of our country, but of Europe as a whole.
Mr. Ambassador, Brussels, Belgium is well known for being the place where the European Union headquarters is.
Yes.
Tell us about the EU, its thrust for the year. How many member countries are there, and how many more countries are in application to join the EU?
Well, right now, the European Union already has 28 member states. Now you just have to figure that out. 28 member states all coming together in Brussels with big delegations, with journalists, diplomats, lobbyists. We are today, Brussels today, is the capital #1 in the world as far as the number of diplomats, lobbyists and so on is concerned. So it's a fantastic cosmopolitan city that has been growing over the years as being the most international place in Europe, if not in the world.
And just so people will understand, how many languages are being translated and being used in Belgium, especially when you have conferences?
Well, I can tell, and we are proud about that, that just in Belgium we have already 3 official languages: French, Dutch and German. But then Belgians, who have always had a kind of open window on the world, perhaps because we are a rather small country geographically, although economically we are a strong country, always have those windows open on the door, on the world at large. We learn all those other languages, and for instance the diplomats here in the embassy, we speak Spanish, we speak Italian, German and that kind of things.
And I understand too that the EU is very much involved in helping many countries around the world. Tell us about the most important grant or any particular help that you have granted, especially recently the Nepal.
Yeah, well, you're quite right. Europe, the European Union, is the largest contributor to humanitarian relief and to development aid all over the world. We are larger than the US, we are larger than any other place in the world. 35% of all aid to the world comes from Europe, and we are very proud of that. Now, what do we do with that? Well, we help poor people coming out of their problems. We help people who have natural disasters, just as we had 1 week ago in Nepal. We run to them and help them out and rehabilitate and reconstruct the villages, the cities, everything. That is basically what we do.
Mr. Ambassador, what are the main concerns of the EU and specifically Brussels, Belgium in this year, for this year?
Well, the concern we had until last year was essentially making sure that our economy would recover. And I'm quite happy to report that that recovery now is on its way. Just to give you one single figure, the growth rate of the economy for the European Union for this year is now projected at 1.8% growth, which is not bad.
Congratulations. And what can you say about the influx of immigration and of course the global terrorism that is a concern?
Well, look, we have a positive look at migration. We know that our economies are strong because we have the possibilities to attract people who contribute to our economies, to our expansion. So, a priori, we are open for migration. Where we have to be careful is, of course, to make sure that immigrants don't come to make problems in our societies. And then, of course, we are thinking particularly at those foreign fighters, those people who go abroad, join terrorist organizations like ISIL in Syria, Iraq, like Al-Qaeda, and then could come back and make our life more difficult. So there we are very selective, of course.
Finally, Mr. Ambassador, what would be the main thrust of the embassy here in Washington, D.C., especially now that we're approaching the presidential elections?
Well, the role of the Belgian embassy, as most of the embassies in Washington, is a crucial one for two reasons. The first reason is that whatever people may say, Washington, the United States, continues to be the prime player on world affairs. So we watch closely what the US does in many areas all over the world. And sometimes we learn about what our American friends tell us. Second thing, of course, is that now that we are at the eve of a new presidential election, we will have to watch closely how all this evolves so that we make sure that our policies are in phase with what happens here in the United States. And any decision that the American people take with respect to their future president is, of course, a decision that is important for America, but it's important for the world at large.
So how would you describe the relationship between the United States and the EU, or Belgium also?
I think, no, the relationship between the United States and the European Union, and specifically Belgium, is very, very good. We have an open dialogue. It is always a pleasure to be discussing with American friends about how the relationship goes on, because there is clarity on both sides. The Americans are quite clear on where they stand, what they expect from us, and conversely, and that makes things so much easier. So the transatlantic relation, as we call it, is a strong relation. And Belgium, again, being at the center of Europe, being the capital of Europe, having the headquarters not just of the European Union but also of NATO, is a prime player in that transatlantic relationship.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ambassador.
You're
and
most
in your
welcome.
very beautiful French, can you give a special message to the world?
À tous mes amis, partout dans le monde, je dis bien sûr bonne fête à l'occasion de ces journées ouvertes ici à Washington de toutes les ambassades. To all our friends all over the world, Belgium is greeting you.
Thank you very much.